All right. Good evening, everyone. I am Coach Anita. Thank you for joining me this evening to talk a little bit about being smarter with your tax refund. So we're going to do a couple things today. It's going to be a quick hitter. We are not going to spend a lot of time here, but I'm going to talk a little bit about who I am. We're going to talk a little bit about being intentional with your refund, and then we'll wrap up and see if anyone has any questions. So let's just hop in and get there. So, for those who don't know me, I am Coach Anita. I am a daily money manager and financial coach. I like to tell people to think about what I do as a right now money thing. So, if you need to get your money together right now, you're looking for a daily money manager or financial coach. If you are somebody who is thinking about getting your money together for the future, financial advisors, financial investors, those are the type of people you'll be talking to. So I mainly deal with budgets, I deal with mindset, I deal with people setting their goals as it pertains to their money, and I love doing it. I've been doing this since 2008, and it has really fueled a lot of what I do. I love helping first generation wealth builders because it's this group of people who did not have someone in their life to sit down with them and say, hey, this is how you budget. Hey, this is how you save. This is how you become debt free. Just didn't have that luxury. So I love just supporting them, guiding them as they walk along their own journey and build wealth for both themselves and their families. So yeah, all of the criteria you see up there, but I think what is most important is I'm here today to just share what I can with you to help you become more intentional with surprise money, as I may call it. But before we kind of hop into that, I just want to let you know that I am Mama Bear. I have two little ones you see on the screen who are just awesome and the light of my lives. My older ones don't let me take photos of them anymore, but these two, they still like me. I have Allison, who is the 1 year old, who is named after Allison Felix, actually, because I was pregnant during the Olympics and Allison Felix was doing her thing. And then I have Anita the third, who is 3 and comes from a long generation of very powerful women doing their thing. So these are my lights. I am very fortunate to have them blessing me each day, but I love them, but I love the work that I do just as much for my clients. So let's just get things kicked off with our talk. We have a lot to go through, but really not a lot, very short and sweet. We're going to talk about a 3-step process to being more intentional with your money, and making sure that you have a plan for the government money that you get, Uncle Samuel, as I like to call him, Uncle Samuel's money that he gives back to you, your money really. And then any bonus money you may have, we want to make sure that you have a plan. So let's talk about this 3-step plan that I have. But first, I want to ask you to just type in the chat and tell me, what's your current situation? Are you someone who last year you had no idea where your tax refund was going? You just got money and then you didn't have money anymore? Are you someone who is looking to just be more intentional with your money as it comes through? You're working on managing it well, and you just came to the webinar to, learn, pick up some tips? Or are you kind of in this third bucket where you're like, hey, if you were in person, I would just be coming for the snacks. I just want to see where the wind blows. If I can pick up some knowledge, I love to pick up some knowledge. If there's something I can do, then that'll be great too. Just drop it in the chat, private chat me. Let me know what type of bucket are you falling in tonight, on this spectrum. And if it's something else or combination of both, that's okay too. We don't have to fall into one category. I know as humans, we are very complex people. So I see some B's out there. I see some A wanting to be more intentional. Great, great, great. Awesome. All right. No matter where you are, where you're coming from, what last year looked like, what yesterday looked like, we're all here and we're starting from this point. And so now we're going to go forward and we're going to talk about exactly how we be more intentional. And so the first thing we're going to do is step one. We're going to get clear about your what and your why. So let me introduce you to two people I'll just kind of use throughout this example who may or may not be modeled after some of my wonderful clients. So we have Erica over here on the left, short hair, stylish Erica, who has goals to buy a house. She wants to travel all over the world. She wants to get that debt down, that consumer debt, those student loans. She want to get those things down. And her why, because she's adulting, because she feels like it's the right thing to do. She's like, hey, I am now in a different phase of my life. I want to be able to do the things that I want to do, but I also want to feel responsible with my money. And she feels that these goals will help her be more responsible with her money. And then on the other hand, we have Ashley here, who has some different goals than Erica, going back to school to get her nursing degree. She wants to travel and go on wellness retreats and really focus on her health. And hey, she wants to get married and have babies at some point. So she wants to go out there and date. And her why looks a little bit different. She has experiences dealing with her mom as a primary caretaker, and she just loves helping people. So she wants to do that full time as a profession. And as I mentioned, yeah, she wants to move into a different phase of her life in terms of children and a spouse. And so, two very different whys, two very different whats we have going on here. But one thing I want to point out is making sure before we even get to the money and the amount of the money and what we do with the money, I want to make sure you understand that understanding why you have these goals or why you want to do things with your money is going to be very, very important, because when things come up and people ask you to borrow money and more bills or more opportunities to spend may present themselves, because of course we don't go looking for them. You have to understand why you've made the decisions you're making with your bonus, with your Uncle Samuel money, with even your paychecks. You have to be very clear on your why. And that why needs to have some strength to it too. I mean, the whys are different, but I'm sure you can look at those two whys from Erica and Ashley and say one is probably a little bit more meaty than the other one, a little bit more grounded than the other one. And so when something comes and presents itself as an option, probably Ashley is going to be a little bit more firm in her reasons and not wanting to switch, which is okay. It is okay. You can find yourself in Erica, you can find yourself in Ashley, but if you do find yourself not having a why and really just kind of making up the what's, I encourage you to go back. I did a webinar back in December all around goal setting and making sure that you have substantial whys to the things that you're doing. That's on my website, powerfulpeopleplan.com. Go give that a listen. Another 30-minute one, not anything lengthy at all. And that'll help you get more rooted on your short term and your long term goals. The other tip before we move on to step two is just make sure you create a balance. I know there's a lot of type A people out there who are like, I have goals. There are things I'm trying to accomplish. I have these things listed out. I want to do this before I turn 50. I want to make sure I do this before I turn 55. And everything is just outlined the way we want it to be. Relax a little. Have a little fun. If you are type B and you're just going with the flow, see where life takes you, maybe think about some goals that'll get you a little structure. Find the balance is my point. Make sure everything is not super intense, but make sure everything is not super fun either. You can find a healthy balance. So that's step one. Get clear about your what and your why. Let's move on to step two. Step two is for you to decide who gets or what gets the money and how much. So we talked about, let's go back to Erica and Ashley. So Erica, buying a house, traveling, being debt free, we kind of broke down some of these lofty goals do a little bit more short-term goals. So saving for a house, traveling, paying down loans, very cut and dry. Ashley, saving for classes, saving for a trip, and saving for dating costs. Those are a little bit more tangible and near-term goals. So after you decide what gets the money, you need to decide how much. And this is where these percentages you see after the goals really come in. And I will tell you that the goals are not very orchestrated, they're not data driven, they are very directional. So if we look at Erica, we're going to see that which of these three goals she wants to do more than the other? Traveling, right? 50% is just more than all the other percents. Hey, we're mathing. It's more than all the other percents. She wants to travel. Buying the house is the least thing she wants to do because she wants to allocate 20% of any extra money she gets towards buying the house. So it really is not a science. It is an art when you're deciding what percentage goes towards each goal. Ashley over here, you can tell she really wants to go back to school. She has the majority of any extra money that comes in going towards saving for classes, where dating is important because it made the list, but it's not as important as her investing in herself in wellness retreats or going back to school. And so as you're doing this activity for your own items, just think about what do you want to do more than the next thing. And you can just compare them, right? Do I want to do X more than Y? Do I want to make sure I accomplish A before B? Do I really need to accomplish something more quickly than the other thing? And so you're just comparing them to your list to figure out which percentages feel right. You may be type A and say, hey, I'm doing this down to the 0.2%. So 3.2% of this is going to go here. You can do that if you want to, whatever goes with the flow. You can even have 100% go to one thing. So for example, if you are really gung-ho about being debt free and that's the first thing you want to do and you want to be focused, laser focused, any extra money going towards the debt, that percent can be 100%. And the other things that you have on your list are 0% for now. For now, things happen, life change. This plan that you're setting up is for right now. And when life changes and things change and your desires change, we refresh this. But this is going to allow you to have a structure and for you to think about things before you have the extra money. So that's step 2. Let's go to the very last step, step 3, which is apply the percentages, right? Not rocket science. You've decided the what, you've decided the how much, and now we're just going to apply the percentages. So this spreadsheet or Excel chart looks a little bit more complicated than it really is. We talked about what the goals that Erica and Ashley have is just here over in the left-hand side. We talked about the percentages. We talked about how to calculate those percentages. And these last 3 columns are just estimates of what she thinks she may get from Uncle Sam or her bonus or her mom for her birthday. These are just estimates. So if she gets $500, then and applies the 20% of house stuff to that $500, she'll just put $100 towards house stuff, right? So 50% of $500 is just $250. So looks like a lot of math, but you can throw this baby in an Excel spreadsheet and calculate it pretty simply. And so this is going to give you an idea of the amount. You may not be thinking about the amount when you're doing the percentages, which is purposeful. What you're trying to do there is really define what's a priority and what's not a priority. But when you apply the dollar amounts, you can really see, okay, I may be a little high on the percentage here, or I may be a little bit low. For example, if Ashley really wants to go to fancy restaurants for her dates, she may realize that, hey, if I'm getting $1,500 back from Uncle Samuel, $150 may not be enough. I might want to up this to 20% and lower the wellness trip a little bit. You can find balance and just have it fluctuate. Go with what your priorities are and what it feels in the moment. It is not a right answer. There is no wrong answer. It is just about what you think is right for right now. The other thing I'll tell you is try not to be so structured on the bucket if you can help it. What we don't want to do is for you to list out very specific things, and then if something doesn't happen or something shifts, you just kind of break down on your plan and you don't look at it or you don't follow it. And so, kind of to help that a little bit, I ask my clients normally to try to be a little generic, be a little specific, but a little generic as well. So, for example, Ashley didn't say do the classes or say for science medical class, right? She didn't get very specific. She just said, I want to do classes. And so that helps her to be generic enough to work toward the goal, but not specific enough to where she'll feel any negative feelings if she does not cross that goal off, per se. Um, the last thing I'll say here before I flip is if you are not actively budgeting, or if you are actively budgeting, meaning when you get paychecks, you're doing something similar to this. You're assigning a job to every dollar. You're figuring out how much you need for your bills, how much you want to save for things that are not bill related. If you are actively budgeting, think about if you want to put some of this Uncle Sam money toward becoming a little more financially free, right? So a lot of us may live paycheck to paycheck, or we have a lot of things that we want to do. And so an extra $500, an extra $1,500 may create a little bit of space and relief in our month to month budget, right? So you may not have to think about so hard, how am I going to pay the rent, because now you're paid up 1 month in advance because you took your Uncle Sam you all's paycheck and you put that in the bank account in anticipation for March's rent. So think about if you want to create a space or a bucket for something that goes from or comes from your normal budget on a day-to-day basis as well. So as much as I love this method, 3-step, very simple method of being intentional with your plan, there's always drawbacks, right? So there's always pros and cons. And one of the pros I like to point out is it allows you to be flexible. This type of approach to any extra money allows you to be intentional. It gives you a starting point versus just kind of being emotional when you get the money, got your hand on $1,500, and you're like, ooh, what am I going to do with it? And then the mall is calling your name, or someone is asking you to borrow money, or you want to buy a handbag, like something then becomes emotional versus you being more intentional with your money. So this method allows you to be thoughtful on the front end versus on the back end. The con of this method, you'll see the B here is Beyonce, the Bayhive, right? So if she just goes on like she did a few weeks ago and said, yep, I'm about to do a tour, and you love Beyonce, you did not put, or Ashley and Erica, for example, did not leave a lot of room for fun or just random stuff or stuff I wake up and say I want to do. And so this method does not allow a lot for a lot of pivoting within plan. You'll have to kind of redo the plan, but lucky for us, it's pretty simple, won't take you a lot of time to do it, but you can get kind of caught up with the surprise things that may come up that you do want to do. It is not that conducive to this plan, but hey, that is okay. There's drawbacks and pros in everything we decide to do, but at the end of the day, our goal is about money clarity and money peace, right? So as it pertains to any amount of dollar you get, whether it's from your regular paycheck or anything extra, we want clarity. We want peace. And that all comes with you being intentional about what it is you want your money to do. So get clear about your what and your why. decide what gets the money and how much, apply your percent to your new money. This is a 3-step part of the process that can really make sure that you're getting that money clarity and money peace as it pertains to your tax refund and your bonuses. But I really, really, really want to encourage you to think about this more broadly in terms of your budgets as well, your regular paychecks, not just the new money, but the old money, right? Think about what you can do, how you can be more intentional with that. If you are not budgeting, I encourage you to start being intentional with those paychecks as well, not just your tax refund money. But I understand you got to start somewhere. And if you're going to start here, I am happy about that as well. But you can create this for yourself. You can create your money clarity. You can create your money peace. You can create a space where money is not a negative vibe, but it's actually a very positive one. And sometimes you need a little help. And if that's you, like, hey, Coach Anita, I don't know where to start. I got stuff over here. I got stuff over there. I'm doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I just really don't know where to start when it pertains to creating a budget. If that's you, Powerful People Plan has some resources and support for you. And I'll get into that in a second. But what I do want to do is I just want to open up the floor and see if there are any questions that I could potentially answer while we're right before we wrap up. We are 23 minutes in, so we are making good time. If there's any questions, you can feel free to drop that into the chat or private message me. I know a lot of people are pretty private with when it pertains to money, but feel free to drop any questions. Perfect. Okay, so we do have a question. It reads, do I do the exact same method with my bonus check as I do with my tax refund? So this question is just about, can you apply the same method to any amount of money that you get that's unplanned for? Yes, you absolutely can. I would not recommend you use this method for your paychecks because it can get a little convoluted when it comes to percentages. But if you just kind of rip step 3 away and put the amounts of your bills, you can kind of finesse your way into doing yourself a nice little budget with this same 3-step process, right? So this is just kind of one-stop shop, but it can be applied to anything any new money that comes in. And yes, I have another question. Do I have a template available for us to play around with? So I was working on that today actually, but if you can join our mailing list, which is available on our website, as soon as that is available, we'll get that sent out for you to be able to play around with, play with your percentages, and just see where the process takes you. Great questions. All right. If anybody has anything else, feel free to drop it on our website or shoot me an email. I'm happy to answer anything else that you have around this topic. I love it. Goaling and just money is my thing. So just so we are wrapping up here, what I do want to encourage you to do, and my contact information is down there too if you have additional questions. What I do want to encourage you to do is try this method. Try it, see how it works for you, get some pen and paper. I would suggest you use Excel because, sometimes the pen and paper in your brain just ain't working all day. Try to use Excel. It'll help you calculate things easier. See how it works. See how it works. When you are doing this as well, or creating a regular budget, just a regular way of plan of spending your money, if you're running into issues, I have a free download on my website called 8 Reasons Your Budget Isn't Working. And this has been a very good tool for a lot of people to try to diagnose what's going on with the budget. Why isn't it working? Why can't I stick to it? Why is this a sense of pain for me? What can I do to improve it, to make it easier? Go ahead to my website, download that. It's free. Get that. See if you can kind of understand what may be going on and see if you can kind of turn that piece around. If you're digging in and you still can't get it to work how you want it to work, book a complimentary consultation. Come talk to my team, come talk to me, come see if we can work together and figure out what the issue is and how we can just help support you and walk alongside of you. This is hard work, y'all. This money stuff, people make it look easy, but it is hard work, especially if math is not your thing, if money is not your thing, if you don't find this stuff fun. I geek out all the time, but that's probably not you. This is not your wheelhouse. You've just been kind of going along to get along. If that's your story, let me help you. I can help you create processes, have tools, and do things to make it a little bit more enjoyable. I can't promise that you'll love it as much as I do, but hopefully it can be a lot more clear and can offer you a lot more peace and intentionality with your money. And then lastly, I'm not ashamed to ask, if you enjoyed our time, feel free to leave us a Google review. People look at those, trying to understand how we are as a company and how we interact with people. So if this was helpful to you, we'll love to hear about it. Shoot us an email, leave us a Google review. If you have any outstanding questions, please do the same. This has been extremely enjoyable. Sign up for the newsletter, and we'll make sure we get you that template out. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your night. Have a good one.